Hello there, it's Jan here from JB Crafts and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am back with another tutorial for you today, and I've gone along the lines of construction today. I tend to alternate at the weekends between card making and 3D construction, and this week I've made this gorgeous little picnic treat box. And this is actually from a die set that I have from Crafter's Companion, but I am going to show you an alternative way of making it if you don't have the dies. It's very simple. It's all just done on scoring, cutting, folding and matting and layering. So it's made up of two boxes, two little 3-inch square boxes. So it's 3-inch this way by 3-inch, which gives me a 6-inch length in total. And I've just got a little tiny finger hole here at the front to open these up, and you've got a nice little space in there to create a space for a gift or some sweeties or chocolates or just a little treat for somebody to cheer them up, if or a birthday gift, small gifts, things like that, piece of jewellery maybe. And then it flips round and it's pretty much identical. Little finger pull in there, and you've got the same at the other side. Now I've just popped a little bit of pattern paper inside just to add a bit of interest inside. You could pop some paper shred in there if you wanted to, some tissue paper, and it all closes up nice and neat. And then I've just popped a handle over the top with lots of pearls and crystal decorations on there. So I'm going to show you how I've made it. As I say, it's very straightforward. It doesn't take masses of amount of paper. My main design comes out of a piece of A4, so if you want to do the double one, you'll need 2 pieces of A4 cardstock to cut the master die out of. If you just wanted to make one, you've got a really nice cute little gift box, and I'll show you that part way through the tutorial. So we'll pop that to one side, and I will show you the die set that I'm going to use. And it's not a new one, it's part of the Gemini range, and it's a dimensionals. They have subsections for their dies depending on what the dies do. So this is part of the dimensionals range, and it is the picnic treat box. And as you can see here, there are lots of options. I'll show you the dies in a second. This is the die formation you get, along with a couple of templates. And you can make, like I said, just a single little 3-inch square box, which is a lovely little gift box, really quick to do. This is where I got my inspiration from, by joining them together to make the picnic treat box. And then you can actually make a larger one. It shows you, there are instructions inside the die set where it shows you the 4 boxes that all fold up. And this is actually the template that makes the lid for those closures. So if I show you the metalwork inside here, we're not going to use the templates today. I'm just going to use, the metalwork. I hope that didn't knock my camera too far out of alignment there. I'll just do a double check. I think we're good. Yep. Sorry about that. Got a little bit, forget that there's things above me. So this is my metalwork here, and you get so much if you do have this set, you know, dig it out. I've said time and time again, the ethos of this channel is to use things that you've already got. Use things out of your stash, you know, that's maybe been around for a long time and not seen the light of day. Get them out, use them, and make them work for you. We have all spent good money on all these things. Get them out and use them. So yeah, this is quite a long time ago now that I've had this one, but you get such a lot in here. So you get your master die, which cuts out your box shape that looks like so. Let me just pop that on a piece of paper for you so that you can see it a little bit better. So this is the master die here, and I've actually cut this already, and it gives you a piece that looks like so. All right, so I've cut this out of 300 GSM white smooth cardstock, and that's what we're going to be working with to make our little box. So just pop that to one side for a second. There's a lot of noise going on outside today. I do apologise. I've got planes going across. I think there are some workmen way over the back. So if there is any extra noise today, apart from my little Lacey who's usually snoring her head off, I do apologise. I think that's the helicopter going across. It's very noisy, very loud, and very low down, I believe. And because I work in the conservatory, I get a lot of the noise come through. It's not as well insulated as being in a, in a room in a house. So anyway, along with all that outside dye, you get so many different options for actually decorating your box. Now I kept mine fairly straightforward. I've got very simple square mats and layers, and then the rectangles on the three sides of the box that show. You may want to add a fourth one if you're just doing a single box, because you'll need this back side where mine is joined together. So it's actually given you choices of, matte layers, dies that cut in, embellishments, nesting dies, little floral. There's so many different pieces, and I'll come back to those when we start doing the decoration. So just to get started then, I've actually used that outline die, as I've said, and I've cut out my piece ready to use. Now with any of these dies, they do come with a score line as well, so we've actually got cutting edges all the way around the edge, and then inside it's got just a very shallow ridged edge to put in your score line. So if I tip this towards the camera, you can possibly see here that it's got lots of score lines in. Now I nearly always, if I'm doing anything like this, reinforce those score lines with my scoreboard. So simply take your board and score tool of choice and just line them up, and that's quite often where this black line comes in. My board didn't come with the black line, it actually is just added in with a permanent marker, and it's ideal for something like this. I know that here is the score line and that it's going to line up with this cut edge here, and literally just reinforce those lines. Again, I've got one to create my little tab there, and again I've just gone over all the lines with my score tool and just reinforce those. It makes them a little bit easier to fold, especially if you're using a thicker weight cardstock. And then it's simply going to be a case of folding all these lines and burnishing them. So wherever you've got a score line, pop those fold lines in and just give them a little burnish with your burnishing tool. And then once I've done this, I will show you how to arrive at this piece if you don't have the die set. It's a relatively straightforward cut. Scoring's exactly the same as what's on here, and then it's just a case of cutting any excess pieces away from the piece that we've started with. So I'm just going to do all those vertical and horizontal score lines there. Make sure that they're all secured in nice and straight, and that last one here like so. Okay, so this is what you end up with, and we'll end up with we've got two sets of glue tabs at either side. This folds in like so, and then we've got our little piece, and it literally is as simple as that. The rest of it is all decoration. So let's pop that back to one side for a second, and what I'm going to do is I've made a template to show you how we've arrived at this particular piece here. So if I lay mine on here now, you can see, apart from I've just put my little angles on some of the edges with the die, which I didn't do on the template, but you can see there are just certain pieces that want cutting away from the actual design. So I started out, my piece measures 10¼ inches tall, from the widest parts 7½ inches across for this particular design that I've done today. And then I just worked out where the score lines were here. So we've got a ½ inch score line to form the tab at the side. Then we score again at 1½, but you only want to score in this first section and in the third section. So if I move it here, you can see where I've got the blue lines. This is the cut line, but there isn't one going straight through here because this is going to be the side of the box. Then I've come in again and scored at 2¼ inches all the way down, at 5¼ all the way down, and then at 6 on those two sections, and at 7 at this side. And then when we rotate onto that long side, we've got score lines going all the way across this time at 1¾ inches, 4¾ inches, 6.5 and 9.5. So I'll just leave that on the desk again if any of you want to take a screenshot of that for reference. And I would always suggest, if you're going to do something like this, make the template first so that you've got it to keep. I've actually got a file folder on the top of one of my cupboards that's got loads of templates. You've seen me use them before, and I tend to follow the same format where the pink lines are score lines and the blue lines are cut lines. And then all I've done is wherever there is a blue line, I've used my scissors and cut into the piece, cut away sections of it, and it has left me this one. So this is actually the one I prepared from the template. You can see there it fits in that gap perfectly. The only thing that I would add to this is maybe taking those little tiny angles off the glue tabs, and you can see the die has done some of that work for us. We've got those nice angles, some rounded corners where it's going to fit into the box, and that front shaping as well. So this is the bit that you can do if you don't have the die. If you do have the die, dig it out and have a go. So as far as decoration is concerned, that's when I said I'd come back to this master die set. I've taken the main square die, which fits the top of the box here, and I've cut that one in some purple cardstock. I've just chose a purple as a contrast theme, so that's been cut with the plain die. This is going to go on the front section of the box, like so. And if you're making the double one like I have done, you'll need to cut this twice. And I have got all these written down for you as well. And then I've used, you've actually got a lovely scalloped edged piece here, but I went for the next one in, and I've used the one that's got a nice little stitch edge on it here. And I've created a panel out of some pattern paper that's got that lovely stitched edge on it. And my pattern paper, this is the one that I chose, and that's my solid. It's just a plain solid this time. It's not a textured one. Again, I have got loads of coloured cardstock that I'm working my way through. And the black one is from a reasonably new paper pad to me. That's why I'm going to call for the something old, something new for this particular video, because the die set's very old. The paper pad's reasonably new to me. And this is actually from a company called The Works here in the UK. £4 for a 12 by 12 paper pad. 24 sheets, 2 of each design, and you just can't go wrong. I am addicted to paper pads. My husband's like, oh, not another one. You know, I've got tons and tons and probably will never use all of them, but some of these are absolutely stunning. You've got black in there and then the black and white, which is the monochrome, but look at these big prints. There is one in there that I am planning to put in a frame, and that's literally all I'm going to do with it. I might embellish it with a little bit of glitter, but just look at that. That one is going to go in a 12 by 12 frame. I might just enhance some of the bubbles with a little bit of glitter, maybe a little bit of white gel pen to put some of the highlights in, but I just think that is absolutely stunning just to use. And you get 2 of each of these, so you could do those as gifts and sell them. But yeah, you can see all the patterns in there. I chose this one. This is the one that I've used for my design. And then it repeats itself. So it's called Floral Noir, as in the black. Okay, black and white, nice monochromatic theme, and that's where we're heading with it today. So that's where I got my piece from, and then this piece is going to layer on the purple. Now I had quite a large border around here by choosing these 2 squares to work with. So what I actually did was just introduce a tiny bit of silver matte mirror card, so you can just pick that up round the edge there, and I've just made it 1/8 of an inch larger than this piece, which I'll give you the measurements for in a second, and it just lifts it slightly away from that solid, and that's going to be the piece that goes on the top of my box, like so. So that was using those dies. Pop those to one side for a second, pop these ones back, and then you will also need to decide what you're going to do for the sides of your box. And I kept it very similar. I've gone for the plain rectangle, which give me the size for the purple again. So I've cut the purple out of that one, which was the plain one, and then I've chosen the stitched one again to match the centre. and this is what's created that little one at the front. Now again, there was quite a big margin between them. You can see when I lay these together on here, it's a bigger than normal margin round the edge. So again, I've added in that little tiny layer of the silver satin mirror card, or the matte mirror card in there, which is just about 1/8 of an inch bigger. So I've got 3 of those ready. And then my front panel, I've just chosen one of the embellishments, which is this one here, cut it from that plain purple that I've got on the back, and this is going to be my front one, which has got the design on the front here. So I've got all those ready. We'll pop those back in their respective places so that I don't lose them. And then I'll show you the measurements for those pieces that I've just put out ready. That's my die set. So where did my template go? There we go. On the back of here, on the back of the template. And again, you know, if you're making the template, measure the sections that you want to decorate. Make a note of it. You don't have to do it each time you get this particular template out to work with. So for the matte layers, the purple layers, I started out with one piece that measures 2 3/4 inches square. So if you remember, I said the box was 3 inches square. We've just come down 1/4 of an inch, and that gives a really nice border around that lid. And then if you're going to add the next one, which was the square that I did in the stitch square, for the layers, you're going to need one that's 2 1/4 inches square. So it's actually 1/2 inch less, which is what gives you that bigger border. I haven't made a list of the silver layer because I did that afterwards, and I've literally just gone 1/8 of an inch, so it would be 2 3/8 inch square. And that's created the piece that's going to go on the top. Now I've actually put a little bit of foam tape on the back of this one just to raise it as a feature as part of the front of the box, the top of it. And then for the ones that go around the side, the purple layer is 2 3/4 by 1 1/2, and you need 3 of these if you're following my design, because I've got 2 sides and a front. If you're just making the single box and you need to decorate the back edge of it, you'll need 4 of them. And then the pattern piece that was cut out with the stitch section is 2 1/4 by 1 inch. And again, just up 1/8 of an inch, it'll be 2 3/8 by 1 1/8 for that matte silver layer on there. And I've got 3 of those ready, including the one with the embellishment on for the front. So that's good to go, and we can get those put in place. And then I wanted to put a piece inside just to add a little bit of interest inside, and this is the same as the original matte layer. So 2 3/4 inches square, just been in the scrap box and pulled something out that was a really good match for that purple layer. And I'm going to pop that inside the box as a little bit of extra decoration. Now I tend to decorate things while they're flat. I do find it much easier to work with while they're flat. So what we will do is we'll start at the front of it. Now the only thing I would say with this is to make sure that you get the orientation right, if your paper has an orientation. So my flowers are growing upwards, and I want to be able to look at those from the front edge of the box. So I'm going to bring it this way, and we're going to work on this area first. So I'm literally just, in fact, I'll stick this one on first so that we've got those pieces at the ready. So let me just pop that to one side for a second. Pop all those to one side, and I'm just going to take, I've just got some narrow foam tape on the back of here just to give it a little bit of lift. Just an added feature, it's not a necessity. And we'll just take the liner off those and position that over that solid purple square that we've got ready. So that's those. Oops, there we go. Get rid of the pieces. And then I'm going to position this one over that nice solid square that we've got ready. So again, just a nice even border all the way round. And then secure that one. And then I'm going to come back to my all-purpose glue now for adhering these together. I've got my cardstock to cardstock again, making sure this is the right way. And I am just going to add some of my glue and position this one in the center of that box lid, like so. Now a couple of extra bits. I've taken my pencil and a ruler, if I flip this round, and I've just marked the center of this panel, which is 3 inches, so my center's at 1.5, and I've got a little tiny 3/4 of an inch hole punch, so a circle punch, sorry, and I'm just going to take the tiniest little sliver, just a little tiny section out of it, to give you that sort of finger pull area to open the box when we're ready. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop my cross on that one. I don't need any matte layers, because this, when it all goes together like so, this is going to be the back that I stick to another box. So just to remind me there, I've got that on. So then we're going to come to those 3 sections that are the rectangles. So I'm going to turn the whole thing round, because when this goes together, this is going to be the right orientation. So you can't see much of the flowers on here, but I do want them to be growing up in the right direction there. If it isn't a directional paper, it does make it a little bit easier to start off with. And again, that one is going to sit just on the front there. And then I'm going to rotate so that I've got my tabs facing upwards, so that I know these are the right way as well. So again, a little bit of glue, don't need a massive amount, and just center these in those panels like so. And then I'm going to rotate the whole thing round again, so that I've got that tab at the top, and add that last panel there. Just make sure it's going the right way and center that in that panel. Oops, there we go. Okay, then I'm going to turn the whole thing over, and this one is my base. Now, because mine's not a directional pattern, it doesn't really matter which way it goes in, but you can see I've got that front bit with the little finger pull. If your pattern is directional, it wants to be facing, so that when you look into the box, it's actually the right way around. And again, this was scraps left over from an old Christmas paper, actually, when I looked on the reverse of it, but it was just the perfect shade of purple to go with my solid that I'd done for the matting and layering. So that's going to go on the inside there. And then I'm going to flick over to my acrylic glue, purely because it dries a little bit quicker. Still get that same bond, and we're going to pop the box together now. So the 4 tabs that we've got left, got 2 at the front, excuse me, and 2 here at the side. We're going to pop some of the acrylic glue on here yet and use this. If you don't like the wet glue, you could use your red line tape or a finger lift tape, but as I've said always, you know, the wet glue just gives you that second or two to make sure that everything is wriggled into place. So we'll just pop the lid on there, and then I'm going to start at the front and literally just bring these together and make that nice right angle, so that it's running nice and smooth here. Give it a little squeeze until that glue grabs. And then the same at this side. Just bring it up so that you've got a nice flush edge here at the front. Give it a little squeeze. And then I'm going to bring those back 2 in together. And we're going to do the same at the back. So again, just make sure it's nice and straight. Give it a little squeeze inside to get that glue going. And then I'm going to do this one at the back. Okay. I think whoever's outside, whether it's the workmen or whatever it is, they're doing some kind of, it sounds like sewing paving slabs or something like that. So I do apologise if that noise is coming through the video there. And then once all those are in place, I normally take my bone folder and just give them a really good press on the inside. So I'm just going into the inside of the box over the tabs and give them a good press down. Just make sure that that glue has adhered everywhere and that it's all spread out underneath. Okay, and then these fold in to create the sides here, and then the front of it will just tuck in nicely, and you've got your little box. Now, like I said at the top of the video, you may just want to make this. It's a really sweet and simple, fairly easy to put together, fairly quick to put together little gift box, 3 by 3 inch. Okay, and then it is I think it was 1 3/4 inches, yeah, 1 3/4 inches deep, and you could just leave it at that. So what I've actually done is I've made a duplicate of this, and I did this ahead of time rather than you watching me do exactly the same thing again. So I've got 2 identical ones, got my cross on the back, because that now we're actually going to lay them flat and we're going to attach them in the middle there in the center. So what I want to do is pop some adhesive on here, and this is where I usually bring in the Big Daddy, the red line tape. It is really, really strong, and for something like this, you don't want it to be falling apart. I am going to add some wet glue as well, just so that I've got time to make sure it's lined up properly, because this is very sticky, and you don't get an awful lot of chance to for any room for manoeuvre if you're using the red line tape. Just press that down and get rid of any air bubbles. And then I'm also going to bring my all-purpose glue back in as well and add a little bit of that. So we'll take the liner off the red line, and then we'll add a little bit of wet glue, as I say, just to give me that wriggle time. And I'm going to run it straight over the top of the red line tape and add a bit in that gap in the middle as well. I want to make sure that this is stuck down nice and secure in that center. And then make sure you've got them in the right orientation. You've got your spare bit at the back. The opening should be at the other side here. Okay, and then all I'm going to do is keep them both flat, and I'm literally going to line them up and push them together. So I'm just using my fingers down the outside to make sure that those boxes run flush, and push them together and just hold them for a second or two to make sure that that glue has grabbed. So you've got the base tape is going to do the sticking, and then you've got that wet glue just to give you that time to wriggle it into place if it wasn't quite right. And you can see now that we've got these open at opposite sides, ready to receive any gifts that you want to pop in there. So we need to add our handle and then just decorate the top of them. So I'm going to do the handle first. You may want to leave it like this. You may not want to add any extra decoration to it. So my handle I've made from a piece of white cardstock, first of all, which measured 10 1/4 inches by 1 1/4. Then I've cut a piece of that solid purple, which is 1 inch by 10 inches, rounded my edges and stuck them together. But before that, I've just added, I just felt as if it needed a little bit of extra detail, and this is actually some ribbon that I had in my stash. It's a nice white ribbon with a silver edging on it, which matched perfectly for what I was doing. So I've wrapped that around the purple before I stuck it to the white, and then taken my bone folder, and you want to give this a bit of a curl. So again, just run from the center your bone folder underneath it, and you can manipulate the cardstock. All right, so I tend to give it a good roll so that you get in that curved shape. So if it's not curved, it's going to fight against being stuck to the edge of the box. So again, you can run your fingers underneath it, and this is the beauty of cardstock, you know, you can manipulate it into whatever shape you want. And then I've put some red line tape on each end, and we're going to secure this over that center part where the box is stuck together. So this is an extra sort of bridge here to keep it stuck together. So I literally come down about halfway on this one, I think, just below halfway. So I've used the center part here as a guideline, and it's just a little bit lower than halfway. So if we come down, and then I'm using the center of the box to center it up with the ribbon there, and make sure I've got my tape behind it. Yep, for some reason that one doesn't want to stay closed. There we go. And give that a good press into place. And then I'm going to do the same at this side. So we'll take the liner off this side and then bring this one round and position this as near as I can in the same place there. Again, I'm just using the centre where the boxes have joined to centre it up with the ribbon, and we'll give that a press into place there. So we've now got our little picnic treat box, which is where it gets its name from. It reminds me of a little picnic basket, if you imagine the little wicker picnic baskets. So there we go. So the rest of it now is just going to be decoration. And I've got my little pot of tricks here. I've got a bow, I've got some flowers, and I've got a couple of sentiments that I've created. I've got some little block die cuts here that cut the wording. They cut it out of the design, so you've actually got the gaps, and then I've just backed it with a little bit of black card. Excuse me, my hay fever's kicking in well today. So yeah, sorry, I've cut it in the white card, backed it with the black, and then just edged it with a little bit of lilac. So we've got Just Because and So Grateful there. And then I've got 2 medium-sized flowers, 2 smaller size flowers, and then a little bow to decorate with. So very straightforward. I didn't want to go too elaborate with the decoration. So we're going to go with the small flower first. Just add some glue to there. And that one's going to sit at the top of that square on the front there. And then I'm going to take the larger of the 2. So any flower dies that you've got, I've got lots of these that are literally just flowers that I keep together. I haven't shaped these at all. I've not created any shading on them. I've literally just gone for very, very simple decoration on here. And then I've got a bit of tape on the back of my sentiment. And I'm going to position that across that larger flower. A little bit further in, I think, like so. And then flip it round and repeat on this side. So we've got the small one again. And that's going to go on first. So that one's going to go up near the top, just to echo what I've done at the other side. Then I'm going to do the medium one. Add a bit of glue to that one. And this is going to sit at the bottom again. So we're just literally echoing what I've already done at the other side. And then I've got my tape on the back of this one again. And we're going to echo that layout like so. And then I'm just going to give this a tiny little bit of shape around the tails of the ribbon there, because it's going to go around the handle. And then a little bit of that acrylic glue. It's great for sort of lots, multiple surfaces here. So even though we're going onto the ribbon, and I'm just going to pop, I started off with it right on top, but decided it would just go slightly to one side. And just hold that in place for a second. That glue is going to seep into the ribbon there and create a nice bond on the edge there. And essentially, that is the bulk of the design finished. The only thing that I added to the original one, of course, as always, is some pearls and little rhinestones, which I'll show you on that original sample. I tend not to put them on the second one because this has not always been gifted to anybody. It is just remaking a sample. So if I swap them over, you can see we've got exactly the same going on. And then I added pearls and beads in various places. So I've got one in the centre of the large flower, and then I've got some lovely little aurora crystals just to add a little bit of sparkle. We've got the one in the bow, and then I added one, quite a large one, on each side here, and then I've got a little tiny one in the centre of that decoration that went on the front here. So yeah, just a few. So Just Because, So Grateful, you know, just a nice little thank you gift for someone. And then you've got those little spaces to open and a decent size amount of space to add some goodies in there, whether it be sweet treats or it could be a gift voucher in there, it could be a little piece of jewellery, just to say thank you to someone. And again, you've got the same repeated at the other side. So I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial today. If you have got that die, dig it out, get it going. Don't be afraid to show me what you've made with it as well. If you want to add anything to my page at JB Crafts on Facebook, you can add to it, not a problem. And I usually try and make sure that I keep up with that to give it comments. So yeah, for now, I will actually see you very, very soon with another video. So if you've enjoyed it, give it a like for me and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll be back very, very soon. Bye bye for now.